What's up, Rad fam? Welcome back to another episode of the Rad DAO podcast. Today I bring you two teams, Destiny World and Fortis, and they've teamed up together to tackle three of the biggest challenges that I see in crypto right now: interoperability, ecosystem development, but most importantly, simplicity. They've just launched a campaign on Jumpstart, which is the newly launched decentralized crowdfunding platform by Sidekick Finance. If you're interested in learning more about that, feel free to take a look at this video right here. These guys have big plans, and when I say big, I mean big. There are a lot of components to their ecosystem, but they're not doing it alone. They're partnering with the right people to make it happen. But before we get into that, I need you to do me a favor and subscribe and like this video. If you're an audio listener, please leave me a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app, as we are trying to grow the Rad fam well beyond where we are now, and I know that we can do that with a little bit of help from you. So thank you very much in advance for doing that. And with that, let's get into episode 8 of the Rad DAO podcast. Let's go. For our audio listeners, we have a whole bunch of people here. We've actually got a couple projects that have sort of come together in terms of a partnership. They're going to talk about what they're building together. So we've got Fortis and we've got Destiny World, which are two separate projects but have paired up to bring something new and exciting to the crypto world. So I'm going to start with some introductions. Philip, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, hi guys. Thank you for listening in. My name is Philip, or also known as Crypto Wabbit. I met David a couple of years ago when I entered the crypto space. Came from IT, have give or take 25 years of basically everything inside what you can do inside IT. Currently working designing sales models for logistical companies using something called Salesforce. And I'm thrilled about crypto, and I would like to change the future for crypto. So that's why I'm here. Yeah.
How did you land in the space in the first place? I'm curious.
I don't remember, to be honest. I think it was through something called Pi Networks, meritocratic
I remember those.
mining. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just curious, and then I started to digest more and more and more, and I'm pretty curious. So I love technology. That's why I'm here. Yeah.
Somebody dropped the pie chart in a chat I was in recently, and it looked like it had just skyrocketed since, but I remember those referrals floating around the groups over the last kind of 2-3 years, and everybody was shilling it. But hey, if it brings people in and keeps quality people in the space, then power to it, right?
Yeah, why not?
Well, you mentioned David, so we'll go there next. David, who are you, and why are you on the show?
My name's David. I'm the CIO of Destiny World. I got into crypto around the end of 2016, where I started investing. But actually, I started off just on a site called eToro, where I was trading stocks. And then I happened to see Bitcoin and Ethereum, the top coins on there. And then I kind of seen post and thought that the tech and everything behind it was interesting. So I started investing. And then from there, 2018, 2019, I started working for a couple of projects, just helping out on the marketing side and helping get partnerships. And that's when I met Philip. He was working on a game there, helping on the tech side. So that's how we met. And then we started chatting, seeing friends getting scammed. And then we decided to work on something ourselves and bring something safe and secure for our friends and people that want to invest in cryptocurrency. So yeah,
I'm smiling because it's crazy how similar people's origin stories are. That, you know, they got into the space, there was probably a scam involved at some point, but they then decided to pair up with, you know, the quality, trustworthy people they know to actually bring something, you know, unique and safe to the space. It's been a recurring theme amongst these interviews that I'm doing.
Yeah, well, that's how I actually met Madfelli and Kozanat. We were on a project on Tron Network like 4 or 5 years ago. We were all on the same thing, and then Tron at that time, there was just scams everywhere. And then we noticed, everyone's moving to Binance Smart Chain. So we started investing in there, and then we're like, oh my God, it's followed us. There's scams everywhere here as well. So it's everywhere, honestly. So it's not good. So that's why we decided to get together and build our own ecosystem.
No, that's great. And for our listeners, you may recognize the names Madfelli and Cause because they were actually the stars of episode 5 of the podcast talking about their new launchpad Jumpstart, which we'll get into because you're one of the first projects to actually use Jumpstart as your platform in raising funds. But before we do, I don't want to exclude our friend Jesus here. How are you, sir?
Hey guys, I'm actually doing very well. I came for Christmas to visit my family in Spain. That's where I'm originally from, although I live in the UK because I went to study in the UK and there's a lot of opportunities there, and that's essentially where I started Fortis. And yeah, it's kind of the same similarity as David. I met Destiny World because I was looking for a place where I could build Fortis, and I was actually in a group that was the rug pull, and that's where I met David, and he told me about Telos, and yeah, everything sounded so good, and I'm a person that when something sounds too good, there's something else behind it. In the end, it was actually all true, and well, here we are about more than a year later working together, and it has been kind of like one of the best decisions that I've done for 4 days. And not even project wise, I've also built some strong relationship with Philip and David.
Oh, that's great. And I only in crypto can you find random strangers that meet in a Telegram group that eventually come together to form a business, right? Like what a unique space in the world. That's how I'm sitting in this chair right now, is because I too kind of got sucked into the working in Web3 kind of way of life, supporting some projects from a community perspective and doing AMAs and that sort of thing. And then one thing leads to another, and now we've got a podcast going here. So welcome to all three of you. To give kind of some backstory, we're talking more about what's coming and sort of where we're at, but I do want to just lay the foundation a bit. Destiny World, largely built on Telos, which is not a well-known chain if you're used to the MetaMask way of life in crypto, but you're now sort of migrating over to BSC and building a bridge to be able to move assets back and forth. So kind of where are you, and maybe this is a question for David and Philip here, where are you in your journey right now, and sort of what are the foundations of the things that you're building for the next 6 to 12 months of your project? We'll go David. David, you can field that one.
No, I could start off by saying, yeah, I met Jesus, and like you said, we came across to Telos. So we've been building dApps on Telos for the past year, been building our socials, been building our community, got lots of great connections and partnerships over there. And then Telos has launched their EVM, which we're now going to be using and going to, like you said, going to Binance Smart Chain and bridging tokens back and forth to other blockchains. So that's the short version of it. Rabbit can probably give you a really good technical version of it.
Yeah, I mean, from day one, we've been talking about what makes an economy, what makes an ecosystem, what makes a community, what makes social capital, and we know from real life that you need some sort of diversity, right? So from day one, we've been speaking that okay, let's start on Telos because we need some features there. And let's build cross-chain, cross-bridges, things like that, because we need all those types of communities in order to build something that is sustainable. So it's natural for us to continue with the EVM spaces like Binance Network, like Polygon, like Telos EVM, and all the other ones, Ethereum, for instance. So yeah, it's just part of the step-by-step plan we have to build stronger and stronger.
Well, Phil, I'm curious on your take, because it seems like, with the recent Solana news that a lot of projects are now migrating off Solana. You guys are doing a BSC thing. Do you think EVM and Solidity as a language is sort of the future of blockchain, or do you think there is room for alternatives?
I believe that if you look at the typical Power of Works blockchains where Solidity is language, and if you look at the EOSIO blockchains or the delegated stake of proof, where they use C++, I already see that the code bases or the platforms they're using to create smart contracts on the blockchain tech is adding more and more languages. So I don't think Solidity will be the sole one. They might add C++, they might add Rust, for instance, into it. So it's just growing and growing. And because we need more and more people that are smart, and we need to adopt into real life businesses. We also need to adopt newer technology, which is smarter and more intuitive to build on, agile, for instance, if that explains it.
Yeah, I think a lot of projects talk about interoperability or connectivity, but they don't necessarily, the people involved don't understand the complexity involved in actually pulling that off, or the way things, like we're talking literally completely different languages that don't interact at all. So either there's some sort of intermediary, like a bridge, that's kind of, translating, so to speak, and moving things around, or there's something else where it's like natively integrated. But that's well beyond my understanding. But we do need people in the space that come with that IT background, that have a well-rounded approach to their their language knowledge, to be able to see the opportunities and then bridge the gaps that we're seeing with adoption, because we can't live like this siloed single chain world forever.
No.
Right? It's not going to work.
No. It's like sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna add that I think the same as you, Philip. I think that kind of the easiest way to understand it for people that are kind of getting into blockchain and Web3 is like, imagine the typical phone brands of the times, like Nokia, Motorola, and things like that. Those are, for me, like the Bitcoin, the Ethereum. That's like basically what kind of started everything. And that was the language that started everything. And from there onwards, we have, these different smartphones with all these different capabilities. And I see it as a market that it will eventually kind of get all of these different languages together and build upon that.
It's like buying a car, right? You buy a Tesla, a Toyota, or a Ford. Everyone understands that reverse is backwards and transmission 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is forward, even though if the technology inside the car is completely different. And by all means, they drive on the same roads, on the same avenues. So if you take internet as the infrastructure, everyone is driving on that. And the blockchains are the different type of vehicles with different types of features, environmental stuff inside, but they all move the same way, right? They have some commodities we all understand, which is tangible.
No, that's a great way to put it. And when I try to explain blockchain to people that don't have a lot of experience, I explain it in terms of cities and highways. Like you're trying to go from one city to another city, but you have to take a certain highway, and not every highway connects to every destination, which actually is probably a pretty good segue to what you're trying to do, because you've created something called Destiny Airlines, where you should be able to go from any city to any destination, right? So why don't we start there? You're launching this project on Jumpstart. It's an NFT raise through a crowdfunded decentralized platform that the Sidekick finance team has put together. But what's the vision? Like, what are you trying to do ultimately with Destiny Airlines?
So Destiny Airlines is like a label or a brand where we are building, let's call it interfaces, where people could interact with different blockchains. Because we know that if we would like to adopt or mass introduce this to everyone, we can't expect those to have 5 different wallets and 5 different backups of private keys. We need to make it simple, and we need to kind of hide the technology behind it, but still use that technology for all it is worth. So Destiny Airlines will bring not only tokens or NFTs, which is a token itself, but also bring communities together across blockchains. And then the interface, the website, which is running in a responsive way, should hide the tech behind it, but people should still access whatever asset they have on the individual blockchains, if that makes sense to you.
No, it does. And I think people need to realize that nobody understands how their email works. It just kind of works. They know how to type an email and hit send, right? They don't need to understand the technology behind why that thing is moving from one place to another, right? And we're not even close to that in the blockchain world, but it's going to take people like you kind of putting your noodles together and figuring it out. Now, Fortis, how do you slot into all this?
So it all started when I went to university about 3 years ago. When I started university, I studied business administration, and I saw that I studied the way that the economies work, and I've never been a big fan of traditional financial systems. I think that is something that is obsolete. It hasn't really been innovated. A majority because there's a lot of censorships and things like that. And that's essentially how we came up with the idea of Fortis. Our idea is that we want to create groundbreaking ideas that give the user the ability to control their assets and identity. Our ecosystem composes of three different aspects, which is the ordinary user that wants to get involved with crypto, but not only the users that want to get involved with crypto, also business owners. So there's a lot of businesses out there that they're hearing all these different things about crypto, but they're not exactly sure, like, how can we get involved with it, how can we allow crypto payments and things like that. So that's essentially what Fortis is trying to solve. And something very important that here at Fortis and Destiny World has is that we want to create things very simple in a way that is only a couple presses of a button. And we think that by achieving this, we can get users' attention, because the ordinary user doesn't have the attention span to be concentrating on trying to figure out how something works. When you buy a smartphone today, majority of the times there's not a manual instructions to see how it works. The user kind of already knows how it works. So that's the intentions of what we're trying to build here. And that's it essentially.
And do you have a functional product right now that we can relay your listeners to?
Yeah, so we've developed our staking platform, which is a way for users to stake the token and earn rewards. We're in the process of launching a self-custody wallet that would essentially work between Telos Native and Telos EVM, which is the whole idea of kind of bridging the EOS.io or Antelope chains together with EVM chains. And that is something that we've been working for quite some time. And hopefully by the end of this month, we'll have some MVP ready for users to actually test out. And it's something that we're going to be using as the base for everything that we're going to be developing. And yet it goes back again to the idea of making everything simple for the user.
No, that's a great point, because I don't know if you guys participated, but in the height of shitcoin season last year, you may remember, like, literally there were people getting on like Zoom calls with their friends and family trying to show them how to onboard money to an exchange, get it to MetaMask, then use a decentralized exchange to buy whatever they were buying at the time. And the amount of work involved was just too much. Those people that bought once will never buy again because they don't remember how to do it. I think I showed a friend of mine 3 different times how to, execute a transaction, and still they didn't get it right. So it's just not simple. So I'm glad that you're working on simplifying that process. And then, so will Destiny World be using like the wallet that you're building and your user base kind of integrating with the Destiny user base to bring the project forward?
Yeah. So I'll just say, so everything that Jesus is building over there at Fortis is going to be connected to Destiny World. So our tokens and their wallet will have NFT. It's multi-chain. So everything that Jesus is building will be connected to Destiny World. We're trying to build like one giant ecosystem that covers fintech, DeFi, NFT, metaverse, and we're combining it together in one large ecosystem.
No, that's a great call out, because I think ecosystem is the future. I think people want to invest their money in teams that have a proven track record, that can be trusted, that frankly will turn their cameras on so you even know who they are, right? And for our video listeners, David was having camera issues. It's not an anonymity issue. He's got crappy internet, so not a knock on him at all. But I think what some developers fall into the trap of is they think they can do everything, and they think they need to do everything. They want their personal ownership of the entire project, as opposed to partnering with people that are professionals in their respective area and bringing together a bunch of different, collaborators, communities, and that sort of thing to really flesh out an ecosystem that's not just a group of people. It's a group of groups of people that, can really support, the long-term development. So it sounds like that's where you're headed, or that's, where you're in the process of getting to right now, which is great, because bear markets are harsh, right? We know everyone's getting hurt right now, but you guys continue to build and continue to develop. So the roadmap I took a look at, I've got it up here on the side, and I can bring it into the stream in a little while, but you have a ton of crap going on. Like, so you've got Fortis doing their thing, building out their wallet and their simple user interface. You've got Destiny Airlines, which is what will be the connection point between a variety of communities trying to bring people together, but you're also building a metaverse, a play to earn game, and then you've partnered with an NFT producer, a well-known artist who does great work. I've checked it out, and I'll throw the links in the show notes below for everybody. But talk to me. How does this all come together in the end? So you've got, the users, you've got the simplicity, you've got the bridge. Where do we go from there?
Should I take that, or?
Yeah, you can take that one.
Yeah, you can take that.
I think we have to rewind a little bit back
Sure.
in time and try to understand what is a blockchain. Blockchains were invented in the 90s to introduce immutability between a contract between two people, because technology evolved and we had a need of business critical immutability, non-tamperable contracts. And then someone took that idea and created Bitcoin and monetized or capitalized the idea of having some sort of strong encrypted digital tokens to create a economy which was free for intermediary fees, free for governance, decentralized, et cetera, et cetera. If you think about the technology behind the blockchain, why do we need tokens? So some people ask me or tell me, Philip, everything will be tokenized in the future. And I say, yeah, of course, everything is already tokenized. If you think about classical physics, because you have a sender, you have a receiver, and you have a bearer. And that bearer is the token in computer science. So if you ask about how everything will be connected, the connection is because we need to target different types of audience. If I go to a store to buy some clothing for my wife, and later on in the day I'm hungry, so I go to pub, eat some food, drink some beer with my friends, socializing. And if someone put all those different types of entities together in a shopping mall, I would do everything in one place, right? That's where bridging blockchain's isolated system comes into the picture. And because we know that if I'm interested in DeFi, it doesn't mean that Jesus is interested in DeFi. Perhaps he's a gamer. And that's why we have different branches, different silos within the same ecosystem. So we target more people, and then we utilize the same technology across those. So we introduce awareness of one technology in another type of audience technology, if that makes sense. And that's why we're talking about token models instead of tokenomics.
So you're building the shopping center.
Yeah.
Makes sense. It makes a ton of sense. And I think it's missing, right? It's a critical aspect of crypto that's missing, is just a place to be where you can access all these different things. And, I'd encourage our audience to go take a look at the Jumpstarter thing, because there's a video actually sort of the metaverse, which we can talk about next if you want, being MetaCity and what that looks like. But then also within that, there's the NFT component, or there's a jump off point to another community and that sort of thing. So what is MetaCity, and what's the vision for it long term?
Jesus.
So
so we have the different components that Wabit was talking about, Philip was talking about, and we have one of the components is MetaCity. The idea of MetaCity is to create a real representation of the world that we live in. And you're probably thinking like how can you do that? So it will work in a way that we can have Earth on the metaverse, politics on the metaverse, an economy on the metaverse. So you will be able to own land, you'll be able to have a job, you'll have to feed your player, your player will have these different necessities, you'll be able to engage with other users, you'll be able to even have like thieves and stuff like that, actual representations, you'll have court, things like that, to try to replicate the model in a scenario where everything was fully functional. And I think that this is something very interesting, because I haven't seen any metaverse that has tried to do that yet, where it will involve people to have actual political systems and things like that, and it will be something that lately games in Web 2 have tried to build, which is you play a game, and then depending on how you interact in the game evolves. In this case, it will work the same, but the way that the game will evolve depends on the users, which is all of us or whoever wants to play the game.
So it's kind of like a Sims MMO style metaverse game.
Yep.
Okay.
But we will also connect like businesses and other projects into the MetaCity as well. So you can, like go to a building and go and play a poker game or something like that. So it'd be, and we'd have advertising and things like that on the building. So yeah, and we do actually have plans long term. If everything goes well, is to have like a scaled down map of the MetaCity and sell these plots of land, and then the funds will go and build real estate, and then the real estate will earn revenue, and the people that own those plots of lands in the MetaCity can earn a salary like off the revenue created from this real estate.
And also one of the fundamental features of MetaCity is it will act like a hub, like an airport. You go into the airport, you see a lot of destinations, and those are other metaverses. And that's why what we mean about building awareness. So we're targeting other metaverse projects. We already have some prominent partnerships coming, and we're building gateways. And some of those gateways you would need to do something in order to access it. Some of them will be free. So it's all about evolution, like Jesus said. You will need to do some work, do some journeys, fulfill some adventures. Perhaps you need some NFTs, some collections of combined NFTs from different blockchains, tokens, whatever, statuses, achievements, in order to utilize all those gateways, all those access points inside the city. And that could be as simple as a swimming pool, if you like swimming. It could be an art gallery. It could be an ATM where you have access to different wallets. You can be mugged, by the way, because we have gangsters inside there. They're not taking your tokens, just virtual tokens. All sort of gamifying a society and building a strong social capital between communities as well.
No,
yeah.
I like the analogy of an airport, because that was actually the thing that I found the most interesting about the concept is, just honest comment. There's a lot of people building metaverses. There's going to be a lot of versions of the metaverse out there, right? And not all are going to win, right? Adoption is going to be key. But if you can connect to other metaverses, then you've tripled your user base, or quadrupled or 10x your user base, because people can move freely back and forth. So I think that's a smart play, as opposed to trying to be everything within your own and connecting to outside world.
But this is what Philip says a lot. He says that if you see another project, don't see them as a competitor, see them as a possible partnership. This is like the way we build our brand. We're building for synergy. We want to have synergy with all these other projects.
Well, and that's kind of like what the internet became, right? There's definitely competing businesses on the internet, but it's still one place where people go to different destinations from, right? But we don't have that in crypto right now. We just have a bunch of people working in their silos trying to get you to, basically leverage the existing internet and try to connect your wallet and take your funds.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, okay, so you're going to do like politics, you're going to have quests. The quest thing, actually, I want to touch on, because you actually have something in your roadmap called the Journey Builder, which seemed really interesting, but I'm going to give my best ramshackle explanation of it is that, so you take a partner that wants to utilize Destiny Airlines services and connect groups, but you can actually incentivize the users to check out other communities through like a series of tasks in the Journey Builder. Am I explaining that correctly?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Good. Am I hired?
I mean, think about all the NFT collections out there. Most of those start with a idea of doing something good. So they spend a lot of work, spend a lot of time making art, making collectibles, making attributes, making rarities. And that's how it all started. Generation 1 NFTs was like Pokemon cards. But we're past that now. We understand that non-fungible tokens, or NFTs, could be used to so much more than just collectibles. So there's a lot of assets out there with value in hibernation. And what Journey Builder is all about is to make a next generation game engine, adventure engine for those NFTs, like a P2P or NFT gameplay. And instead of just having simple actions on a website, like one project created an NFT, very, very popular NFT, and you can buy some serum, and then you can mutate that NFT into a mutant. Simple actions, simple contracts behind the scenes. Why not extend that into a game where you have a storyline, you have multiple conditions, multiple outcomes, and you need to work your way to fulfill that journey. And on the other side, you enter MetaCity, Metavoid, Metaverses, you get rewards, access, new stuff without even moving your NFTs around from one blockchain to another, because we can fix that. It's blockchain independent. And if you think about, if we start to scope that in a simple way, we can add more and more features over time if the projects like it. And I hope that sometime in the future it could be a public good, because we make the engine, we have the Dare token underneath controlling everything. So the more people accessing it in a simple, free way, they will create traction for the tokenomic model we have in underneath everything.
So we saw a lot of NFT projects come and go over the last 12 months, and I would say the vast majority of them are now what I'll call abandoned projects, which everyone's favorite fancy term is they're community owned now. That's they're not abandoned, they're community owned. So could a community come together that doesn't have like a developer basically on team still managing this community? Could they utilize this in some way?
Yeah. That's also another thing we're thinking of, because we know that a lot of projects, they are creating a token to tokenize their business process or business model. And the expectations to the project is that this token is either sold or whatever achieved somehow, and then you create inflation, and then you list it on an exchange, and then you can sell it. And that creates a lot of stress for the project. So the developers are now focusing on tokenomics and revenue streams instead of focusing on products. So that's also something we try to solve, to give projects accessibility for tokens and NFTs, which is a token itself. So we can create utility while they focus on their things. And when they're ready to have income streams and raise funds, then they can list. So it's kind of a win-win situation here as well.
Makes sense. David, you want to add to that?
No, I was just going to say, like, pretty much everything that we've built so far and we are going ahead and building is, like Rabbit said before, it's a hub. We want to be a hub for onboarding projects, so they don't have to go out and spend thousands or look for devs to go and create and make this stuff themselves. So they can come to us with their NFTs or tokens and use what we've already built.
I like that a lot, because it feels like to me that every new project is starting from zero. It's like they literally have to, pull out the playbook and like, okay, I got to create the contract. I got to name my token. I got this marketing thing. I got to then think about utility, because as soon as the price goes down a little, then everyone starts screaming for utility. Meanwhile, if there were platforms out there that had done all of this and already have a user base that you could then just come and take advantage of, I think that's a lot more, it sets you up for success way better than starting over every single time.
Well, I think you see now you get projects that have token sales. They raise quite a lot, and then they'll go and launch their token. They'll go and spend, they'll add half the liquidity, and then the other half, they've gone and blown it on marketing, on influencers that don't make a difference. And then they're at the end, they've got no money left, and they're like, oh no, we've got no utility. And then that's why they end up dying or community owned, as you said. So I think that's like a big issue. So I think what we're actually trying to build with onboarding projects, I think like can really help the space.
Yeah, and I mean, price is important, but it shouldn't be the thing. It shouldn't be the reason that you're invested in a project, right? It should be something that comes with the long-term success of a project, not the reason it's successful.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like the majority of projects, because everybody thinks that Web3 is a very fast market, which it is. Majority of projects that launch, they tend to want to rush everything, and this is something that we've learned. Things that we're trying to build, they're things that they take a time and a process, because we want things to work in a way that it's going to be viable in the long run. And like David was saying, there's certain projects that they want to focus on marketing, they want to focus on saying that we're going to do A, B, and C, but at the end of the day, they don't do A, B, and C. And this is something that we've proven, both Fortis and Destiny World, since we launched in Telos, that we're pretty transparent about the things that we build, and we've been building along, considering that the market hasn't been in our favor. It's been a bloodbath of a market, to the point that it's affected projects that you would say like, they're projects that have a huge funding and that they shouldn't disappear, and they've disappeared in days. And on the other hand, we have projects like Fortis, like Destiny World, that our funding is not as big, and we've achieved so many things that people can actually use, and so much transparency of how we are, because at the end of the day, we are users. We're people that we've been involved in the market as investors into project. We've seen how the market works, and we've taken the initiative to build these ideas that we've seen that have a potential demand in the market, and we're sailing the boat.
That's a great way to put it, because I think, though, the people building now that survive this are the ones that are going to really be successful when that wave of users does return, right? Because I don't think the next bull is going to look like the last bull. I think it'll be on the backs of trust and transparency. I think I've been preaching this for a while, is my number one, like, that's who's going to be successful, but also, a track record of success, and then an ecosystem, where I don't want to have to jump to 10 different development teams and risk my capital when I have this group over here that's got everything I'm looking to take part in, and they do it really well. And I think that's going to be the difference between these single projects that we saw in 21, early 2022, and what we're going to see in 23, 24, 25.
Yeah, there's been a lot of bad news and trust broken in the last few months with FTX and a few of the others. So that's really hurt the market. And I think what you just said about the trust moving forward, I think that will be a big part of it.
Yeah, and we've seen that the last couple of years when DeFi was a huge experiment, right? I studied something called relational theory for data modeling, and what I see is that everything we build in computer science is a mimic of the real world. We're trying to copy the real world into computer science, and the same happens with DeFi. We, at one hand, we're saying that we don't like governance, we don't like intermediary fees, we don't like financial institutions, so let's decentralize everything. So we go into the world, and we try to fork something as simple as a savings account into a staking platform. And we stake, we inflate, we lose money, and then we shout, where's the insurance? Where's the governance? Where's the compliance? So I believe that the next years we are actually going to connect real life with blockchain crypto space, because there's a huge user base out there who is afraid of investing in crypto spaces because of all the insecurities. So we need ID, we need KYCs, we need governance, but not everywhere. We need to balance those two together. And then I think the real serious DeFi projects, the real serious NFT projects will pop up, because they see that there's more sustainability in having mature investors that thinks long term and not just apes in on a high APY or something like that.
No, that's exactly it. I think I'm with you. I think regulation is going to be a thing, and I think it needs to be a thing after the fallout of FTX. I mean, centralized exchanges should have some accountability for users' deposits, right? That's just the way it is. But there should also exist a model where you can use a decentralized economy and leverage, DEX trading through whatever platform you happen to like, and manage your money that way. But I completely agree that we just try and copy what's already been done, and and then it doesn't work. It's like, well, what did you expect? And as much as people complain about taxes, I'm always, just baffled that they're willing to set 20% slippage on a transaction and take a, 18% haircut. It's like you just paid higher taxes than your income tax in a lot of cases on a single transaction, right? But they'll do it all to earn that, APY that isn't real. So we got a long way to go for sure, but there are good projects out there that are trying to do better, right?
Yep.
No, that's good. All right, so there's a few other components of the ecosystem that I do want to get to, because we've talked about a couple things, but we haven't gone deep on it. So let's start with NFTs, because you do have a partnership with a well-known artist that I kind of called out at the beginning. Cyberchimps is your first sort of NFT collaboration. What's going on with Cyberchimps? David, how about you?
Well, this is actually Jesus's baby, the Cyberchimp.
Send it over.
This is part of what he's connected into the Destiny Airlines. So I'll let Jesus talk about the Cyberchimps, because he's behind it.
The idea of Cyberchimp, in very little words, is we talk a lot about theory. We explain that we want to do these different things in Destiny Airlines and things like that, but that's like any other project. That's what I call like waffling, for example. They like to say we're going to do this, this, and this. So the intentions of Cyberchimps is to actually, create this and show the proof of concept. and show the people that there's actually, we're talking about we want to do A, B, and C, and we're actually going to show you now that A, B, and C can actually work in the environment. And that's also together with Wayne Aliens, which is something that has kickstarted not long ago. I think Philip and David can add a little bit more about this, which is the artist Wayne Shepherd. He's a very extremely talented artist, and that's something that we want to connect as well.
I'll just add to that, because this is touching back on the Journey Builder, Cyber Chimps, Aliens. The Journey Builder is all about giving these NFTs a story, and these two NFTs, Cyber Chimps and the Aliens, are our first part of that story. We've got our Metavoid game, which is the P2E game, which is going to have like solar systems, planets, vehicles, and we can connect these two into there by Cyber Chimps taking over Earth and battling with the aliens and creating a story out of those two NFTs on the Journey Builder and connecting it into the metaverse. So those two will be our first storyline within the metaverse and the NFT Journey Builder.
So essentially, think of it as if it was like a comic. You have these different comic strips, and our intentions is that we want to create this storyline that it will start with these two NFT projects, and at the same time is a proof of concept of what we're trying to build, and there'll be a journey where there'll be a series of actions that the user has to do, and that's the Journey Builder that would eventually go through Metavoid, which is the whole idea of solar systems across the planets and things like that, and will eventually kind of bring you to MetaCity. And then MetaCity, the whole idea of like this airport hub where there's connections to other metaverses and things like that.
And also remember that NFTs for many people has some sort of social identity, right? Everyone wants a cyberpunk. Everyone wants a telespunk. Everyone will want to have a cyber chip because the cyber chips are companions to telespunks. And the cyber chips will probably save the world from the aliens. I mean, we don't know. Just imagine what we can make out of this. That's what we mean by building utility for an NFT that could be beautiful art made by the Big GUI or Wayne Shepherd, but it could also be gamified and socialized and used in many places. And that's simply because we have the technology called the blockchain. We can make it immutable, and we can utilize that digital token or asset everywhere we want.
Man, I think that was a big...
Yeah.
Sorry,
go ahead,
I was
David.
just going to add as well. We were talking the other day, just in the Sidekick group, about another two NFTs. You've got Gangster Finance and you've got Sidekick Hero. So we were talking about the gangster in the metaverse that are going around taking when people draw out of cash machines, ATMs, and then you've got the Sidekick Hero that flies down to rescue them to get their funds back. So this is another idea of how we can create stories on the Journey Builder and in the metaverse.
Well, and that goes back to the community building aspect of it by pulling in other communities. So it becomes this like really large inside joke between all of these communities that love these characters and that have these stories, and now they're all interacting in a unique way.
Exactly. And what's better to get success than working together and bringing communities together and, synergy. So I think it's really important.
And also one of the most important things, at least for me, it's something that is a project that is scalable. It is created in a way that, it's something that the more projects that come in, the more it can expand. And this is something that I've seen in crypto since a pretty long time now, that, projects launch, they say they're going to do the roadmap, and then what's after the roadmap? What are we going to do next? So, it's something that I find very innovative about this project.
Well, I think last year we saw a lot of the failures in the NFT space because there was nothing beyond the profile pic. That was literally the extent of the entire project, right? So users are demanding more of their development teams and asking for that utility or asking for that story. And I know, Philip, you said we've moved past Pokemon cards. I have not. I still collect them. But I think
they're worth money. That's
hey,
why.
it's, my kids will thank me when I'm gone. But I think there's so much more we can do with an NFT beyond what a collectible is. It can be both, right? It can be a collectible piece of art, but it can also be DAO access. It can also be an in-game item. It could also be a character for a game. Like there's a lot of stuff we can do with these things, and they don't all have to do the same thing. Like who knows? Maybe someone's releasing an NFT hat collection, and then your Cyberchimp can wear somebody else's hat. I don't know. Like this is the type of stuff that we can get into now because we have this technology.
Yeah, and don't let evolution shut down older technology. Reuse it because there's a community behind it. There's a thought behind it, intention, some dreams behind it. Utilize it, make it bigger, synergy.
Well, people buy these things because they like them a lot of times. I mean, they're attracted to the aesthetic of something, and then they're probably disappointed when ultimately the community evaporates and it's just two guys on a Discord group going GM every day. That's good. Now, we didn't talk about Metavoid, but you did mention it a few minutes ago. So why don't we talk about that? Because there is a pretty cool video on the Jumpstart campaign about Metavoid, which is a different vibe than the rest of the ecosystem, but I think it's worth mentioning because it's a cool looking game. So I'm not sure who the builder is in the group here, but
we do have a qualified, experienced game dev that is creating that. Unfortunately, he's from Ukraine and everything going on is electric. I keep trying to get him on AMAs and he messages me. He's like, I just can't make it because the electric's like off for days. So, but he is creating it and it's 40% done. I don't know, Philip, if you want, can you share the first bit of the video and then you can talk about it?
Yeah, I could share it if we are.
Wait, hold on. Let me hear that again. Did you say it's almost 40% done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a professional game developer. So, and I think his estimates is about 6 to 8 months if everything goes smooth for the first alpha beta testing. So Metavoid is a game. It's a Web 2 game. It's a 3-dimensional game. It's a virtual game. It's science fiction. It has everything that a science fiction game needs. Player versus player, solo, arenas, building, evolving, things to do. It's not a short-term game. It's huge. And then we add Web3 upon of it. So we call it play to earn. But play to earn has a lot of problems, right? So we need to kind of modulate in a way to solve some of those play to earn problems. And one of those is that we are not aping people in to earn some money and then dumping it. We need a easy step in. We don't need to have to block users because it's too expensive, right? So it should be easy accessible. It should not be built in a way where people are aping in and dumping. So that's why we're developing the tokenomic model underneath with the DARE token. And because we are on Web3, we can add more things into it. We can have a social capital inside Metavoid made for gamers that are not interested in the social capital made for artists in MetaCity. They can also build real estate, virtual estate, things like that in the game because it's a solar system, it's a galaxy system, things like that. So they could build a guild planet where they have guilds and just think about all the features we can add with computer science on guilds in a game on Web3. So, yeah, targeting different types of audience.
No, I think you've addressed a few of the challenges that you called out because, like, you look at Axie Infinity as the classic example of play to earn. Well, it's you can only play to earn if you're forking over significant upfront capital to buy what you need to get started. Yeah. Or the other way is the game just tanks and then you're not earning anything. So I think people need to reframe. You shouldn't be playing this game to get rich. That shouldn't be your job, right? It should be a nice bonus from playing this game and just take it for what it is. Play for fun, enjoy it, and get a little something out of it financially, maybe. Or just send it back into the game and buy the items that you want. But at least you own them. And there's an economy for those things because they're all NFTs on the blockchain.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So it kind of, I'll link it in the description. I don't know if we can bring it up or if you want to share, feel free. But it's kind of got like, no pun intended, but like Destiny vibes mixed with like a little bit of Fortnite action, like that type of style of game.
I guess we can show the campaign if we have time and play a few minutes of it. So. And the funny thing is that this game is a professional game developer. He made games before. And then Hisu asks him, could we get a small demo of, we have these ideas of MetaCity. Yeah, give me a couple of hours, he says. And then he makes this next 3D world. And it's like, wow, you made that in no time. So, yeah.
But I think that's the
40%.
40%, yeah. It's
that is something that it, well, at least for me, if you think about it as an investor point of view, majority of the times that you've purchased a sale from a project that is launching a game to earn or something like that, they haven't really done anything or started anything. And the fact that we're 40% through, well, that at least gives me confidence. Yet again, do your own research, but
no, it's a big point, because a lot of people raise funds to do the development, and then it's just promises of, and then an undetermined timeline of when that will actually be finished, versus those that fund it themselves or have funding from other avenues that can build it while they're trying to raise additional funds to, polish it off and that sort of thing. But at least you have something you can bring to the community along the way, as opposed to just promises, right?
Yeah, it was actually before I even met him, it was his dream. He'd started building it, but he hadn't had no backing with anyone. He didn't have a project or anything like that, and that's how I met him. And he showed me, and I'm like, well, we're building this metaverse, MetaCity idea with NFTs, and I think it'll be great. So that's when we got him on board, and he's been working on it since. We have probably about 4 months since we've come together, and he was already a good percent through it when I met him. So he's happy that he's been able to find a project to work with and launch his game with us and have it under our umbrella.
No, that's great. And I'm a big believer, when you're building a team, that you should build it with professionals of their given, area of expertise, as opposed to trying to tackle everything yourself, because you're not going to have all the answers. And then you're going to get in this sort of bubble where you think you're good, but unless you have other people with differing perspectives looking at it and picking at it and saying, okay, maybe we should change this or tweak that, that's how you end up with a successful project.
And this is a big part of the funding the campaign we're doing now, because we do need funding. We're not going to say, oh, we've got money to go and complete the MetaCity and all that right now. So that's why we're doing the campaign. I'm also working with a company called Connect that has their own team of angel investors and VC. So me and Crypto Rabbit have had meetings with them a couple of times a week, building a pitch deck. They're helping us do our financials and get an investor ready. And then at the end of, once the pitch deck's ready, they'll pitch us to their angel investors to help us get funding. So that's running currently alongside the campaign with Sidekick. And once we do get funding again, like you just said, we're going to go out and hire more experienced devs to build the MetaCity, so it's all professionally done.
Well,
yeah, they're
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, helping out with financial plans, financial modeling, business models, checking that delivery plans is up to shape, Gantt charts, basically verifying that how we run the business is good, as well as the pitch deck.
No, that's perfect. Now, we talked a bit about it, but I do want to sort of stamp it before we finish up here on how people can support this project and actually bring all of this to life in the end. So we talked in episode 5 with the guys from Sidekick Finance and their platform Jumpstart, which can be found right on their website, here. And then if you scroll down, you can see the active campaigns about, those that are doing raises and Sidekicks doing their own raise. But here you guys are right here. So there's a lot. I think this takes a minute. So you got 16 days left on the campaign. Are you to extend that campaign if you don't hit your funding goals?
We have. Sorry, David.
No, we did have a conversation with them the other day, didn't we? If we do have some working behind the scenes with us now, some guys that are helping us, and I won't name them, so they're not put on the spot. But we do have some guys helping us that have got some friends that they think that will be really interested in that has money and think they can come together to try and help us hit the target. But if we don't, we have spoken about doing another campaign but lowering it so we can get an amount to build the journey builder, and then we'll launch that with the token, and then we'll get another rate, or by then we'll probably have funding from Connect, and then we could kick on. But lower the raises so we can do it in bits rather than expecting a big chunk all at once.
No, that's good to hear. And I mean, for anyone that's dealt with like Kickstarter before, you pledge with your native currency or whatever you're doing, but here this is much more simple. You just connect your wallet, which is your MetaMask address or whatever browser-based wallet that you're using that supports EVM, and you guys are doing the raise in BUSD, which is on the Binance Smart Chain, as we've already talked about. So you can just go ahead and then pledge to the campaign if you want to support it. And then what do I get as a pledgee for your platform?
Do you want me to share the screen because I have the NFTs open?
Go ahead. Yeah, I'll stop sharing mine.
Okay, because you need to connect with your wallet. So let me present my screen. And
I will quickly add whilst he's doing that, if we do not hit target, any funds that an investor has put in, Sidekick will send that straight back to them. We don't have any control of them funds, so it will be given straight back if we don't hit target.
Yeah, that's one of the cool features of the Jumpstart thing, is it just, because it's all built into the smart contract, it just disperses funds back to the wallets that contributed.
Yeah.
So we have basically 4 tiers in the campaign. We have bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. Each tier has a animated NFT, and it also contains something called the World Pass, which is a ticket that could be redeemable for future access with other projects. All of them has some sort of fee splitting. So the first fee splitter is that if the campaign is a success, we will get some certain amounts of money back from the campaign into the NFT itself. So, for instance, the $50 BUSD one has a 5% fee split. So if one player buys this one and we fulfill the campaign, he will get 5% of $100,000. But of course, now it's 16 people here. We also have fee splits from the token, their token, which is buy-sell taxes. We also have fee splits from the ROI DApp. We didn't speak about that one. And from all the proceeds from MetaCity and Metavoid projects, as well as some more gamified things like one shaft in MetaCity. So if you have a shaft, you can do whatever you want with it. You can live there yourself. You can rent it out, for instance. And then as the tiers increase, the fee splitting is increased as well. And you can see here that you can get a house for the silver one. For the gold one, you get a DAO membership, which is a decentralized autonomous organization. And it means that it also comes with responsibility, because these guys will mint the future of Destiny World and Destiny Airlines and Fortis, because their professionality will give those small adjustments that you spoke about earlier. We also have whitelisting and early access to NFTs and token sales for this one, and we also have early access to real estate. We are building an idea of having real estate in Spain, connecting it to MetaCity. The platinum one, sorry about that, is for project or companies. So they are able to capitalize on our entire ecosystem. So they will get buildings, portals inside MetaCity. They will get 25% fee splits from the entire proceeds of the ecosystem. They can also use our brands and build whatever they need to build within Metavoid and MetaCity and capitalize on that one. And these guys are like advisors for the entire project. So
it's a good spread of tiers and rewards.
Yeah, and if you guys want to split up this $50,000 in 50 people, remember that only one voice, only one will be an advisor. So it is possible to fractionalize it, actually.
No, seems like you thought of it all. That's a great setup, and you haven't made it inaccessible for people that aren't necessarily whales. But there we go. Bring David back in. No, you've made it easy to participate in the ecosystem. With as little as a $50 pledge, we'll get you that bronze NFT all the way up to that $50,000 DAO tier, which is pretty great. So, is there anything else about the ecosystem or about the project in general that you guys wanted to call out before we wrap today?
Philip did just mention there about the DApp. Obviously, we've been talking mostly about metaverse and NFTs and all that sort of stuff. We do have a DApp on Telos now that we are going to tweak and bring it onto the Binance Smart Chain, because even whilst you are going out and doing all this fun stuff and gamify, it's still good to have that pacify income inside the ecosystem. So we do want to offer that to the people that don't play games. So we do have that. We are building that option of a passive income inside the ecosystem as well.
This is not financial advice, of course. So the ROI DApp is only a formula for calculating return of investment. But we need DeFi. DeFi will not be the future of blockchains, but it will be part of it. And what we're trying to achieve here is that all those NFTs are called funder NFTs. So if you want to be part of, if you understand the mindset we have, then you will understand the products we build. And if you want to be part of that journey to change attitudes and also onboard, make it go mainstream for normal people, then this is your option to be part of that journey.
Yeah, great way to put it. Great way to put it. Any final words, Jesus?
No, everything said. Just all I'm thinking about is that ROI app is, think of it as generational wealth, something that you can pass over to your kids and so on and so on.
It's that old saying about, exponential growth, right? Or compound interest, those who don't understand it, pay it. And those who do get rich, right?
Yeah, like rewards won't be paid by someone else needing to put money in. We will put money in from the game, from the from everything in the ecosystem. And the other tokens that we have, we will put funds into the rewards vault. So that's paying out the passive income rather than relying on people to deposit.
Yeah, I think we saw a big. Sorry, go ahead.
That's a very, very important thing to remember in economy, because it has three pillars, or kind of three pillars. One is intrinsic value from within, the dreams. And the second one is instrumental value, which is something that is connected to something tangible. It's not gold as we had in the 70s, but it's using NFTs and connecting things to real life. But the third one, which is the most important one, is use cases. There's no system in the world that can open a bank account and open a savings account and think that they can only inflate. So the ROI DApp is a combination of a alternative marketplace, staking, farming, diversity, passive income, and iterations and loopings, and meritocratic. So the user actions is actually building the volume and building the value, the monetary value, possible value of it. So it's not just a pin and the first one to get in, the first checkpoint will win at the end.
But I think in the traditional model, it's people taking other people's money, and when that dries up, then we've seen the failure of these ROI dApps across the board in most cases. But to have the ecosystem funding it, you're basically participating in the network, right? You're reaping the rewards of the success and the adoption of the rest of the products that are built onto that ecosystem, which is a much better way to do it, right?
Yeah, we believe
that's great. Yeah, I'm with you. I think that this makes a lot of sense, and I think now that we've seen such a crazy cycle, we've seen the money come in, we've seen the money go out. I think we've now sort of exposed the people that were only successful because the money came in, not because they were building quality projects or because they had all the answers figured out. So now we can learn from that and build better for the next wave. Gentlemen, thank you. This was a pleasure. I really appreciate having you on, and thanks for the conversation, and I look forward to seeing what you guys can build. So one more time, it's at sidekick.finance, and I'll throw that link below so you can support the campaign with your BUSD, which will get you one of those NFTs that gets the fee split, so you can actually get your sort of royalties from the ecosystem. And just support these guys because they're a great crew and looking to change not just DeFi, but crypto in general. So thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks for having us. It's been amazing.
That's it for today, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thanks to the Destiny World and Fortis team for joining me and giving me a full walkthrough of their ecosystem. They're doing so many cool things and collaborating with a ton of people to make it happen, so I really want to see these guys succeed. If you're interested in supporting the project, I will include the link to their Jumpstart campaign in the show notes below, as well as the link to their websites and their socials. If you want to support the show, the absolute best way to do that is just subscribe to the YouTube channel, leave me a like, drop me a comment, or a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. Nothing new there, but it really does make the difference. You can also throw a few shekels in the MetaMask donation wallet, or you can use one of the affiliate links that you find below. Absolutely no obligation, but it does go to help keeping the lights on, and I very much appreciate it. So thank you in advance for any support that you give me, even if it's just a emote in Telegram. That's good enough for me. So with that, thank you so much again, and I will see you all next week. Until then, keep it rad. The Rad DAO podcast is produced for entertainment and education purposes only. I know this because I'm not a licensed financial advisor. If you're thinking of investing in any of the tokens talked about during this episode, then I implore you to please do your own due diligence, and if necessary, consult with a licensed financial advisor.